to ask you about one more thing that is happening this summer that's been on the news agenda, and this is Julian Assange sitting in the Ecuadorian embassy with demonstrations outside, threat of extradition. What's going to happen there? How does it look?
I can't get out of my mind the example that keeps being thrown up at us by those who know their East European history of the cardinal in Hungary who spent 15 years inside an embassy having asylum. Whether Mr. Assange will spend that long, I don't know. I don't see personally any immediate way he's going to get out, because I mean all avenues are really covered. I know he's fairly thin, but even the thought of him being packed into a diplomatic bag is hard. Frankly, I can't immediately see. I think there was a complete red herring about the British storming the embassy. Was really a misreading of a law that was introduced during the siege of the Libyan embassy. But I don't know the answer. I think, on the whole, when people don't know the answer, he'll be left to sweat it out. And he'll be allowed probably to make his occasional appearances on the balcony. But as these things go, if nothing dramatic happens, he'll slowly become not forgotten, but of a lesser. I mean, there won't be an enormous upsurge of support on his behalf, I don't think, because it's very hard for him really to whip up a large constituency of support on you know, the fears of conspiracy by the Americans, when the crime that he's wanted for questioning by is being you know, put
something that liberals don't like.
Well, they don't like ladies being raped.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite rightly. And they also, I mean, you know, Sweden may be boring. Sweden may have a high suicide rate, but Sweden has got one of the fairest judicial systems in the world. And if he was being, you know, sort of sent off to some tin pot banana republic, maybe. So that I mean, you heard it here, but I'm not going to bet the farm on it, is that we're going to get a lot more views of the back buildings behind Harrods, which is where the Ecuador embassy is situated. It does seem that, you know, he has the support of the Ecuadorian leader, who is himself has a slightly dodgy not human rights, but attitude to free speech and independent newspapers and broadcasts. So it's a rather weak prediction, but I just think it'll more of the same at the moment. Do you think? Do you have a different view?
No, I actually just came back from 2 weeks in Edinburgh in the festival. So I kind of landed into this, but I'm still catching up with it. We were hoping to interview very soon one of our correspondents in Ecuador about this.
Very interesting.
To see where are they coming from. I mean, why are the Ecuadorians supporting this? But I think you might be right, but I think that a lot of conspiracy theorists, and you don't need to be a mad conspiracy theorist to think that it's no accident that the nature of the offence that he's being accused of is splitting his supporters, one that would split his supporters. So much. I mean, I've been following a lot of, you know, arguments and discussions inside the feminist community, saying, you know, on one hand we support this, and that they were very interesting.
But that would require, wouldn't it? Not now. I mean, that would require that the two women involved, who were Assange supporters, were plants.
Yeah, that would involve quite a lot. That would involve quite a lot.
If that's true.
If that's true.
I personally don't think it is true, but I honestly don't know.
The whole thing is so strange, the whole offence is so strange. But as you say, I mean, you know, there's no telling how it plays. Can he stay in the Ecuadorian embassy forever? Governments there are going to change.
That's probably going to be the definer. Is actually what happens on the ground in Ecuador if there is a change of government. and you know, the support is not the same, because there's no, I gather he's got a room with he's brought in a sun ray lamp to keep himself sort of tanned to a certain extent. There's something, well, you shouldn't say it, but why not? I mean, let's speak out. As I personally am not party pre to anybody in this, you know, struggle one way or the other. I'm not one of there are journalists who are very much on his side, but journalists are very much against the tactics of WikiLeaks. You know, as you know, with the Guardian that wrote the book about him, I mean, ended up in a frightful squabble with him because he is a tricky character. But there's something, you can shoot me down on this, and do if you think I'm being even slightly offensive, but I find in private conversations about him, not with interested parties, not with, you know, particularly politically motivated men or women, but just sort of, awful phrase, ordinary men and women, people don't like him very much. There's something about him that they don't seem to like. It's hard to pin down. That sort of supercilious look, perhaps.
I think Julian Assange might be one of these cases. Yeah, he doesn't seem to come across from too many people as very likeable.
No, the frightful phrase is charisma, I suppose. I mean, I can imagine somebody in a trap position like that. I mean, he is in a trap position. Okay, he's the sort of, what's the word, the butterfly in the golden cage, you know? Like Cordelia and Giglio remarks, he is obviously not living a too hard a life inside the embassy. One actually feels slightly for the staff in the embassy, and one wonders how they're bearing up to it. But
maybe hard life for being a little bit overrated as something that is necessary for somebody to be a hero of one's time. I mean, should he really be starving in order to have done quite a massive service, I think, to journalism that I think for a long time was...
I don't think he's starving.
No, exactly. But I think, should he be starving?
Oh, I see.
You're saying he's living quite a comfortable life as if this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair. Living in an embassy, they normally serve quite good food in these places. But is that in itself a condemning evidence against...
I don't know. It sort of ties up with the whole thing that before he went to the embassy and, you know, the incident... he needs actually a good PR man, I think, because where he was, you know, not hiding out in Britain, but sort of staying out, was a huge mansion in the country, you know, in rolling acres. Sort of place
your friends right?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being asked for the weekend. Now, I know the man connected with that is connected with the Frontline Club, which is a journalistic club and argument. So, yes, we'll have to sort of have regular meetings on air about this, and we'll see when the...
Yeah, we could do it.
But if you were to ask in 6 months' time, when do you think Mr. Assange is going to be coming out of the embassy, I wouldn't be that surprised.
But he might not.
That he might still be in.
He might still be there.